Imagine Tokyo, 1984. A teenager walks into an electronics store with 2 months of saved allowance. He knows exactly what he wants. Not the expensive one with the silver-brushed aluminum and the name everyone recognizes. The other one. The one on the shelf below it. Same size, same functions. Half the price. He buys it, takes it home, puts in his cassette, presses play. It sounds good. Really good, not different enough to matter. He doesn't know, and why would he, that both devices were built by the same hands, in the same factories, by the same engineers, for the same parent company. He just knows he got a great deal. Sony knew it too. That was the whole idea. Aiwa's story is not a story about a company that failed. It is a story about a company that succeeded so completely at what it was designed to do that it eventually had nothing left to do. A weapon that outlasted the war it was built for. The beginning is modest, almost to the point of invisibility. 1951, Tokyo is still rebuilding. Aichi Electric Company is founded, a small operation making radio components, transformers, parts for other people's products. Nothing about it suggests the future. No visionary founder standing before a broken instrument. No dramatic origin moment. Just a workshop, a supplier relationship, and a name that most people, even in Japan, have never heard of. For the first decade, that is all it is. Components, quiet work, the kind of reputation that doesn't make newspapers, the reputation of a company whose parts don't fail. In 1959, Aichi Electric changes its name. Aiwa, a compression of its original identity. Cleaner, easier to print on a product. That same year, it releases its first complete consumer device. A reel-to-reel tape recorder, not a component inside someone else's machine. A finished product with Aiwa's name on the front. It is a small step. But it is a different kind of step. The company has moved from invisible to visible, from supplier to brand. It doesn't know yet what that will cost. Through the 1960s, Aiwa builds slowly. Tape recorders, portable radios, modest products for a market that is anything but modest. Japan's post-war consumer electronics boom is accelerating, and the names that will define the century are already forming. Sony, Panasonic, Pioneer, Kenwood. Aiwa is not in that conversation. It is in the room, but it is standing near the door. Then 1969. Sony acquires a stake in Aiwa. This is the moment everything changes, though it will take years before anyone understands how. Sony in 1969 is a company with ambitions that have already outgrown Japan. The Walkman is a decade away, but the instinct that will produce it, the conviction that personal, portable, affordable electronics can reshape daily life, is already there. Sony's leadership understands something important. The premium brand has a ceiling. There are customers it cannot reach without damaging what it has spent 20 years building. You cannot put the Sony name on a $30 cassette player without making every $300 Sony product look less special. But those customers are real. Their money is real. Their loyalty, once earned, is real. Aiwa is the answer to a question Sony cannot ask out loud. How do you compete with yourself without admitting that's what you're doing? Through the 1970s, the arrangement takes shape. Aiwa produces cassette players, portable radios, rack systems. The products sit below Sony in price. They use Sony components, Sony technology, occasionally Sony tooling. They are, in some cases, Sony products wearing different clothes. The quality is genuine. This is not deception. It is architecture. Sony has built a second floor below its own ground floor, and Aiwa is living in it. For Aiwa, the arrangement is not without dignity. The company has real engineers. Real product decisions get made. The cassette decks of this era, the AD 6900, the AD F990, are not embarrassments. They are serious machines that compete honestly with mid-tier products from other manufacturers. People who bought them were not settling. They were being smart. The 1980s are when the strategy reaches its full expression. The portable audio market explodes after the Walkman. Everyone wants a personal stereo. Not everyone can afford a Sony. And here, Aiwa does something Sony perhaps did not fully anticipate. It gets very good at being affordable. Not affordable in the way that means poor quality, Affordable in the way that means engineered to a price point with precision and consistency. Aiwa's engineers became specialists in a specific problem. How do you build a device that sounds acceptable, feels solid, and costs less than the competition while still leaving a margin? This is not a simple problem. It requires real engineering intelligence, and Aiwa solved it repeatedly, across dozens of products, across an entire decade. The TPR 950, a boombox released in the mid-80s, becomes one of the best-selling portable audio products in markets where Sony cannot reach on price. Latin America, Southeast Asia, parts of Eastern Europe where electronics are luxuries but the desire for music is identical to everywhere else. Aiwa goes where Sony cannot follow without contradicting itself. That is the value of the arrangement. Not just one market, two markets. Different floors of the same building, selling to different people who both want to listen to music. By the late 1980s, Aiwa has a specific kind of fame. It is the brand that people who know about electronics recommend to people who cannot afford the brands that people who know about electronics actually buy. The insider tip. A name spoken with a small nod of approval. Not aspirational. Better than aspirational. Practical. Sony increases its stake throughout this period. By 1993, Aiwa is a fully consolidated subsidiary, completely owned, completely inside the structure. The informal arrangement becomes a formal one, and with that formalization comes something that looks like strength but functions like a trap. When Aiwa was semi-independent, it had a reason to fight, a relationship with Sony to maintain, but also a separate identity to protect. After full consolidation, that tension disappears. Aiwa's job is now simply to be what Sony needs it to be. A container for the products Sony doesn't want to sell under its own name. This works perfectly. Until it doesn't. The 1990s bring a shift that neither Sony nor Aiwa is fully prepared for. It is not a crisis. It is a gradual, almost polite destruction. Korean manufacturers, Samsung, L, Daewoo, enter the global market with products cheaper than Aiwa and increasingly not worse. Chinese manufacturing begins its long transformation from imitation to serious production. The floor that Aiwa had owned, the space between affordable and cheap, begins to disappear because the definition of cheap is moving upward faster than Aiwa can follow. And here is the structural problem that Sony's arrangement had quietly built into Aiwa from the beginning. Aiwa cannot go up. Sony is up there. Aiwa cannot move into premium niches because it has no identity independent of price. Its entire brand equity is rooted in being the smart, affordable choice. Remove the affordability advantage, and there is nothing left to stand on. Aiwa's engineers were not sitting still. The CSW55, a slim personal stereo from the mid-90s, is genuinely elegant. The XGE10 mini component system sells well in small apartments across Europe and Asia. Real products, real attempts to find a new identity in compact design and style. But the market is not listening. The market has new options, cheaper options. Options that don't carry the burden of being someone else's strategic tool. By the late 1990s, Aiwa is losing money. Not quietly. The losses are large enough that Sony has to make a decision. The decision is not complicated. It is just painful to acknowledge. Sony dissolves Aiwa as an independent operating entity. The brand doesn't disappear immediately. Names have commercial value. Recognition has commercial value, but the company behind it is absorbed. Aiwa products continue for a few years under Sony management. The name on the box. Nothing inside it specifically designed to carry that name forward. By 2008, the brand is dormant. Not dead in the legal sense, dormant in the meaningful sense. The products are gone. The engineers are gone. The internal logic that once made Aiwa a specific kind of thing no longer exists. What remains is a trademark, and trademarks are forever. Or at least they are for sale. In 2016, a company called Aiwa Corporation acquires the trademark and begins placing it on electronics again. Wireless speakers, headphones, televisions, products manufactured through third parties, carrying the name as a licensing arrangement. Nostalgia has real commercial value. People who grew up with an Aiwa boombox feel something when they see that name. Whether that feeling justifies the purchase is a question the new Aiwa doesn't need to answer convincingly. It only needs to answer it well enough. This is a different kind of afterlife from the one the original company deserved. Because the original Aiwa did something genuinely difficult. It solved a problem that most companies never clearly identify. It made good products for people who could not afford good products, without making those people feel like they were being handled. There was real craft in that, real engineering intelligence applied to a specific, honest constraint. Not what is the best possible product. What is the best possible product at this price? That question, taken seriously, is not a lesser question. It is just a different one. The tragedy of Aiwa is not that it was defeated by the market. The tragedy is that it was never really allowed to be anything other than useful to someone else. It was built as a tool. It functioned as a tool. And when the tool was no longer needed, it was set down. Sony moved on. The market moved on. The teenager in the Tokyo electronics store grew up, got a smartphone, forgot about cassettes. Everything Aiwa was built to serve has changed beyond recognition. But somewhere in a storage unit, or on a shelf in a workshop, or in the back room of a second-hand electronics shop in a city you've never visited, there is an Aiwa tape deck from 1987. It still works. The heads are clean. The motors run true. Someone kept it there because they couldn't bring themselves to throw it out, even though they no longer own any cassettes. They just know it was good. Not the best, but genuinely, honestly, carefully good. And sometimes, that is the thing that stays with you longest. Did you ever own an Aiwa? A boombox? A Walkman? A rack system? Share in the comments.